All right, guys, tonight we are talking about creating a vision. And before we get into the actual steps of creating a vision, I want to talk about what exactly a vision is. Okay? According to all of my studies, a vision is nothing more than imagining what your life will look like in the future. A vision is nothing more than imagining what your life is going to look like in the future. According to Dr. Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, if your mind can conceive it and you believe it, then you can achieve it. So it all starts with your ability to conceive what your life will be like. And that means just imagination, imagining what your life could be like. And the cool thing about that is that you don't need a special education to do that. You just have to close your eyes and pretend. It's something that we're all able to do. Now, the second part of that formula is to believe what you imagined. And what this entails, guys, is nothing more than scripting your own movie. When you watch a movie, you experience so many different emotions. You laugh, you cry, you smile, depending on what you're watching. If it's Forrest Gump, you probably experience all of those emotions. But when you take a step back, you realize that it's all make-believe, that it's nothing more than actors on a screen following a script. And somehow or another, they are able to get you emotionally involved into their movie. So why can't you do that same thing with your life? And imagine what would happen if you did. If you actually took the time to script out how your life was going to play out, and you were so vivid in your description that you could believe it. And every time that you read what you scripted out, you cried, or you laughed, or you smiled, or you jumped up for joy. Imagine what your life would be like if you took those steps. Now, we're going to cover 5 exercises that are going to help you script the exact life that you want. But I don't want you to be misled. I don't want you to think that it's as easy as that. That all you have to do is write it down on paper and it's going to come to life. You guys are old enough to know that life isn't all peaches and roses. That life is so similar to Mother Nature. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be sunshine and there's going to be storms. See, we all suffer in life. That's a given. We all go through bad times. So the question is, why is your suffering worth it? Why, through those times of despair, do you keep on pushing on? And in our case, as Beachbody coaches, why do we keep on going after we face rejection? At the end of the day, guys, you attract what you think about. And by taking the time to create a vision, what you're doing is setting the seeds. You are planting the seeds in your mind so that you can attract them in your life. If this statement is true, if you attract what you think about and you put so much thought into your vision that you think about all the minor details, imagine if you were designing a house, if you took the time to determine what kind of countertops you were going to put on your cabinets and what kind of light fixtures you were going to put on your ceiling fans and what kind of blinds you're going to put on your windows. That's what creating a vision is all about. You are going to think about how your life is going to play out in such vivid detail that there is no room for error. We pride ourselves in being Hope Nation. Hope Nation. But where there is no vision, there is no hope. So if we pride ourselves in being Hope Nation, then I think it's fair to say that we should pride ourselves in being a nation of vision. A nation of coaches of vision. And that's my objective this evening, is to share with you 5 exercises that will allow us to grow into that team of coaches whose vision is so strong that we're unbreakable. We're unstoppable. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into these 5 exercises. Now, if you take a look on your chat bar, I have sent you the link for this PDF. So you can click on that link and you can open up these slides in another screen if it helps. And we will also share the PDF with you on our Hope Nation page so you can go through these 5 exercises. It's a total of 16 pages, which it's pretty simple. It's 5 exercises with forms that you fill out as well as description of what the forms are. So, for example, exercise number 1 is a self-inventory. And before you can actually determine where you want your life to head, you want to take a look at how much progress you've already made in life. You know, we work with people on a fitness end, and oftentimes you'll see somebody who maybe has set a goal of losing 100 pounds. And in 6 months, they've been able to lose 50. You know, it's super, super important for them to look back to see how much progress they've already made. Or maybe you have an experience where you've gone off to climb a mountain or a hill, or you've been on a journey, maybe through your collegiate career, where your junior year, after 3 years of being in school, you know, you kind of see that last year as being so far off. But then you take a look behind you, say, hey man, I've already completed 3/4 of this. And that's what this exercise entails. You are going to take a look at your life in 10 key categories: physically, mentally, emotionally, attractiveness, in your relationships, in your living environment, socially, spiritually, in your career, and financially. And you are going to think back 5 years ago in your life and rate exactly where you were. And once you've rated where you were, you're going to give yourself a reason for why you gave yourself that rating. So, for example, if you give your career rating a 2, you know, the reason that you give it a 2 is because maybe you just got laid off of a job and you're starting all over again. Or if you give your mentality rating a 6, the reason that you give it a 6 is because you just completed college. You know, so you want to give yourself a reason on why you gave yourself that rating. And then you're going to do the same thing today. After you've reviewed yourself 5 years ago, you're going to review yourself where you're at right now. And then 5 years in the future, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? And the reason for your rating, like what does that mean to you? If you want to be 10 physically, what does that entail? What does a 10 mean to you? Does that mean that you have 6-pack abs, or does that mean that you can bench press 250? You get to determine why you give yourself that rating. Okay. And at the end of each one of these periods of your life, you're going to express how you feel about these ratings. So if you feel like you've made a lot of progress in the last 5 years, then I want you to express that. I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. If you feel like life has just been kicking you down these last 5 years, then I want you to express that. Okay, this is a self-inventory exercise. So this is between you and you. Hold nothing back. Be real with yourself. Be the type of person that can be real with yourself. The second exercise is what we call the success test. Now, the reason for this exercise is to prove to you that you are a success. You know, you've heard me tell this story before of a man who hasn't exercised in years and who has become severely overweight, who finally makes the decision to get up off of the couch and run around the block without stopping. And he gets up and he does it. And although he doesn't have a six-pack yet, and although he's gassed out after running around the block, he did what he said he was going to do, and therefore he is a success. In life, we all get to determine what success is. We get to define what success is. And you have experienced before, I promise you, whether it was on your graduation day or whether it was during the birth of one of your children, you have experienced success. And I want you to share that moment with me. I want you to relive that moment in detail to where I feel like I am there with you. If you feel like your biggest success was running and completing a marathon or a 5K, then tell me what it was like at the end of the race when you crossed the finish line. Who was there? What did they tell you? How did you feel? What kind of day was it? Paint the picture for me. I want you to be able to read this, what you put down, at any given time as a reminder that you are fully capable of doing whatever you put your mind to. The third exercise is a series of 8 questions. Now, they say that the person that gets the furthest in life isn't the one that has the best answers. Instead, it's the person that asks the best questions. And these 8 questions are the questions that I feel everybody should ask themselves in life. For example, what are 5 things that you value the most in your life, that you'd sacrifice for, that you would fight for? What are your 3 most important goals right now? What would you do if you won $1 million tomorrow? How would that change your life? Tell me. What would you be doing if you didn't have to work? If money were no object, if you had a stream of income coming in, what would you be doing? How would your life look like? Now, these are all very, very important questions to ask yourself, guys, because when you script your life and you get everything that you're after, your whole life changes. And everything that you could conceive, like however you design your life, like you have that power to live it out. And these questions help you really determine what's the most important in your life. Like, what is success to you? What do you want to ultimately do when you get there? The fourth exercise is what we call the genie in the bottle. And the genie in the bottle is an exercise where you imagine that you have a genie lamp, just like Aladdin, and you get to ask him for whatever you want. But instead of getting 3 wishes, you have unlimited wishes. Now, the way that this exercise works is you have 4 different categories. 1 is in personal development. 2 is in your business and career. 3 are toys and adventure. And 4 are contributions. So for your personal development, this is where you get to ask yourself, what do you want to learn? What do you want to learn? If money were no object and time were no object, what would you want to learn? Would you want to learn how to survive in the wilderness? Would you want to learn how to fly a plane? Would you want to learn how to be a world famous chef? Put it down. And the second part of the exercise is to imagine that you were going to go for it. How long, how many years from this date will it take you to get there? If you were to set a goal and pretty much arrange what you want in importance, in a matter of importance, how would you rank it? For example, in the category for toys and adventure, let's say that you want a Corvette and you want to live by the ocean and you want to go on a trip to the World Cup and you want to have a family vacation to Disney World. You want a new wardrobe and you want a new laptop. Now, these were some of the things that were on my list at one point or another. Some are still there, some aren't. And what you want to do is go ahead and start imagining, like, how many years, how far out are you willing to work to get there? For example, I believe that anybody on this team could set a realistic goal of getting a new laptop in a year, or a new wardrobe in a year, or even afford a family vacation to Disney World in a year. Bigger items, like a house by the ocean, 7 years is realistic. But ask yourself, would it be worth it? Would the suffering be worth a house by the ocean in 7 years? The second part of each one of these categories is to choose an item within 1 year of acquirement and share why it's super important for you to accomplish that goal this year. What will happen if you don't accomplish it this year? What pleasure will you get if you do get it? And what pain will you experience if you don't? For example, in regards to the goal of having a family vacation to Disney World, someone would put, it's super important that I take my family on a vacation to Disney World this year because it's been something I've been wanting to do for years. When this happens, I will experience the greatest joy of seeing my children experience the greatest joy that only Disney World can provide. If this doesn't happen, I will have to live with the disappointment of seeing and hearing other families' incredible experiences and see the sadness in my kids' eyes, knowing that I have failed them once again. It's super important that you attribute both a pleasure and a pain to each of these categories. There's a very, very high psychological effect in doing that. Now, the last exercise is where you bring everything together and we actually script your vision. This is where you take the producer chair, where you pull out your pen and you bring everything together. This is where the ink meets the paper and the first step in making this a reality. Now, there's two parts to this exercise. First, you're going to create a dream board. And your dream board can either be electronic or it can be by hand. If you choose to do it electronically, which I recommend, there's a very good site. It's called bettyvision.com. Now, that link is on the PDF that you're going to get, and it's super easy to go on there and create an account and put together an electronic vision board. And your vision board is going to be nothing more than everything that you put down on the Genie lamp exercise. So you're going to take all of that and you're going to put them together into a collage, something that you can put in front of yourself day in and day out as a reminder. The second part is where you actually write your vision down. And I have included 8 tips to creating the perfect 1-year vision. Now, as you can see, this final exercise is nothing more than taking the first 4 and bringing them all together. The objective in your final narrative is to create a one-page, one-year vision. You want to try your best to keep this to about 10 minutes of reading material, because you're going to be reciting this vision twice a day, when you first wake up and when you go to sleep at night. In time, you're going to be able to take this vision and record it on your phone, or put it up on index cards on your fridge. Something that's going to allow you to constantly keep it in front of you. Guys, without a vision for your life, you will never be able to unlock your fullest potential. I want to wrap this up with sharing a little bit of a story with you. And this story is about a car that I used to own when I was growing up. And it was a 73 Camaro. It was a hot rod muscle car. But when I had it, when I first started working on it, there was no power. It had a very loud exhaust. People could hear me down the street. But I didn't ever race it because something was wrong with this car. With as loud as it was and as beautiful as it looked, it didn't have the power that I knew that it could have. And I took this car apart piece by piece, looking for what was wrong with it. I knew deep in my heart that this car was powerful. I knew that this car was something special, but something was missing. Something was preventing it from unleashing all the power that it really had. And I spent tons of money and tons of time replacing, repairing, and cleaning out everything on this car, until one day I finally took the time to drop my fuel tank. And I dropped my fuel tank and I was going to clean it out. It was the last thing I was going to do. And I realized that there was a small filter that was in my gas tank that I had no idea was there. And after I spent tons of hours, probably a year working on this car, and thousands of dollars repairing and replacing everything, it turned out that the one thing that was holding this car back was a small $3 fuel filter. And when I went and I replaced it and I put my fuel tank back up, the car had all the power that I always knew that it did. And that is what a vision is in your life. A vision is what is going to give you the power to unlock your fullest potential. Guys, we are Hope Nation. We are a team that takes the time to create a vision. I want each and every one of you to go through these 5 exercises and complete them to the best of your ability. The coaches on our team that have done this are experiencing the most success out of everybody on the team, and it is no coincidence. You have all of the instructions right now in front of you. Take the time to let your imagination run wild. We are giving you permission to be a kid again. We are giving you permission to have hope again. We are giving you permission to create the life of your dreams and to use Beachbody as a vehicle to get you there. Thank you guys so much for your time. If you feel like you missed anything, please re-watch this video. If you feel like any coaches on your team could benefit, please share it with them as well. We thank you so much, and we will see everybody next week.
Have a good night, everyone.